Alright, I'm going to be replacing the power supply on this Corsair 1. The power supply it has is an SF600, so there's this button here. We're going to push that in. It's really hard to lift this up, but basically push that in, grab here, and pull this up, just like that. Okay, you kind of need a wide hand to do that. Then we're going to flip this over. You can see there's a fan connected here. We can go ahead and disconnect that, so it's easier to work on. Okay, just like that. Set that aside. Then let's see if I remember how to get this apart. We got all these pieces here. Okay, there's some 4 screws in here. We're going to remove those using a PH2. Let's get that out. Get this out. There are a lot of zip ties, but we removed those. I removed those in advance, so let's take a look. Alright, now that we've got these 4 out, there are the liquid cooling pipes, so these actually kind of lift and then kind of go out sideways. There are these liquid cooling pumps tubes, so be careful with that. And just let it lean over that way. Same thing with this side. You kind of pull up slightly and then lean it over. Okay, and now we have access to this. This one, it kind of hangs. If you want, you can actually, let me move this over a little. So you can actually even lift this up, and then you can move this around a little bit, but it doesn't move too much. Okay, so let me see. We're gonna let this lean down. We're gonna have to disconnect multiple cables here. So got this. We're gonna have to pull this out. Let's see. So how do we get this one? This piece. There's some clips here. We're gonna pull these. Okay, there's one clip here and here. Give me a second. Okay, let's pop this out. So there are some clips. You gotta pull them sideways, kind of like other desktops. All right. And there's clips all the way up and down. Okay. So pull the clips on both the top and middle. I'll show it better once I get this thing off. And then there's also one at the bottom. So we're gonna have to pull all those clips out. Okay, there's 3. The third one. Can't see here.
Don't step on some ants. They might get dangerous.
Might get dangerous.
Don't step on the ants.
Okay. So pull that. And
Don't step
get
on
this
the ants.
one.
The ants will
And
get
the last
rough
one down
on your
there.
shoes. So don't step on it.
Last one. Clip's a little difficult to get to. There we go. So once you get all 6 clips, you can pull this out. There's a wire here, so be careful. All right. You can actually disconnect this, but I'm gonna just leave it and lay it down here. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. So let's get this out. So there's a little clip here on the inside. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but basically you can pinch this clip down and then you can pull that out to disconnect that. So there's that clip there. Set that aside. Okay, let's disconnect the power supply here. So take this out, rotate this around. There are 4 screws on the back we're gonna have to remove that are holding the power supply in. Undo those. Once you get those out, the power supply can actually move around, but we do have to disconnect all the cables. There's quite a few. So there's the CPU power cable right here. Push that clip down, and then you kind of got to wiggle it and pull. Okay. go. There are these little like white clips here that make it difficult to pull it out. So we do have to get them out of these clips. You basically pull those clips aside and then get this cabling out of there. Okay. It's gonna be a little tricky. Let's see. There we go. And then there's another one here. I know it's hard to see, but basically it's angled upwards and the wires get caught on it. So you gotta get that all out. Just like that. Alright, you can see now we have access to this. Then we gotta get the GPU wires out. So the GPU wires are on the side here. There's also the CPU one here, the bigger one. So you got to push that clip in, and then while you push that in, you can kind of, same thing, wiggle this up and down while you're pushing the clip, and then you should be able to wiggle that out. There we go. So got the CPU and motherboard power cable connections out. Be careful with the short cable. This other small cable here, it goes to the fan that was on top, so be careful with that one. We're going to move that all out of the way, and it's all threaded down through this hole down here. So next, there's some SATA cable connections here. I'm going to have to disconnect that as well. It's going up into here. Oh, that cable's, this cable's here, and then this cable is going into the hard drive. So there's everything blocking it, but basically you gotta slide that sideways. Try and grab in there, wiggle that sideways as I kind of pull. You should be able to get that out. These other cables are kind of in the way. Oh, one way you can make it a little easier is you can remove the screws here, holding the hard drive into place. There's 2 screws. Those out. That one, and the other one over here. Okay. Once you get those 2 screws out, you can actually slide this out slightly, and then you have access to this. There we go. We got the SATA connection out, right? You can put that back in there, and pulling this out will also give you a little more room to slide these cables out. We're going to take out the USB 3 port connection here, so we have more room. Okay, and now we can slide these cables out from under there. You can see the hard drive is coming out. We can actually take this whole thing out. There's also the SATA connection we took out earlier. Make sure to put that back. Okay, so we'll pull this out. Gotta be careful because there's a lot of wires in here. Thread that all through. Okay, get that out. Same thing with the CPU power. Thread that through. Pull that out. Okay. So we got all of those wires. We got these small cables. Again, be careful with them. Okay, now we got the GPU wires that we got to get rid of. So turn this around, and we have access in here. And this one is pretty tough to remove. I don't know if you'll even be able to see anything. Let's lower this and tilt it more. Okay, turn that. And we're gonna have to take these out. So same thing, you kind of push the pin or the clip in, and then you kind of gotta wiggle it, but there's not much room here, so okay. Wiggle and pull, and there we go. We got this one disconnected. Gotta kind of use the whole of this to help, and then you can pull this more and get this out here. Wiring to the side, and pull this out just like that. There we go. Then we got this smaller one Same thing, push that clip in and then kind of just wiggle it up and down as you pull. There we go. And then pull the wiring to the side and get that out. There we go. Now we just gotta unroute all this wiring. Slide it all through the holes back here. Okay, this might be easier if I lay it on its back. Let's see if I can do that. Get all these wires out of the way. We'll lay this on its back or the front. Okay. And now we can kind of move these wires out of the way. There is a zip tie here, so I'm gonna have to cut that in a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the zip tie down there. Be careful that you don't cut the cables. Okay, get that zip tie out. If you have zip ties on yours, make sure to get those out as well. Okay, you can see we have these two cables here. These fans, I'm not too sure where those are going, but anyways, we're gonna get that out. You can see we have all this extra slack here, and that's gonna have to thread through to the other side. It's gonna be tricky to maneuver this. Let's rotate this whole thing over. Okay, get this up and out of the way. This is disconnected, so you can see it's loose. Let's see if we can pull it out without removing anything else. Okay. Actually, did the replacement one? Let's see if the replacement one has all those wires, because it's modular, so we probably could leave those wires in. Let's see. Okay, it does have new wires, so we're gonna replace those. It also has zip ties. Try and get those back in. And all this wiring. Okay. So, that out of the way. Okay, so this we should be able to tip forward. Hitting something, we might have to rotate it a bit. Let's see here. Okay, kind of have to push the wires down and out, and then we can get this, and now we have access. We're gonna have to thread all the wires through for the CPU, and not the CPU, the GPU, through this hole down here. Okay. Connectors are kind of difficult to get through. There we go. Okay, and there's the old power supply. So basically now we just gotta do everything in reverse to put it back. Let's unwrap the new one. See all the connections they used here. They pretty much used all of them except for one of the SATA peripherals. Wrap this thing up. They had an advanced RMA, so they're returning this one. Unwrap these. We're gonna need the SATA one. cable, motherboard power. This is CPU. This is video card. This is another video card. And then we didn't need this Molex 4-pin. Alright, let's reconnect everything here. Motherboard one first. 24-pin ATX. Get that in. Get that in. Also, this covers here. Basically telling you that it has silent operation mode, that sometimes the fan doesn't spin. Okay. CPU. Okay, CPU and PCIe, it doesn't care where you connect it. You can plug it to any of them. So, let's see. This was that direction. And, okay. So, CPU 1. CPU is up there, so we're going to plug that to this one. Let's see what's closer. So we'll go like this. So CPU cable, I guess it should be okay. That way. That will go up that direction and then route up through there. So let's put the CPU one at the bottom. Then we got the SATA one, and that just plugs everything down there, so we can plug this over here. The video cables, 2 of them, so we'll plug them both here. And now to route everything back through. So this goes this way. The 2 cables here go that way. Two video ones. Okay, the 2 video ones go back through this hole. Wait, did your other one have a 4-pin? I'm considering actually, yeah, we're gonna have to reuse the old cables because, let me see, SF600. Yeah, because these cables are actually designed for this specific case, like the lengths and everything. So hopefully they don't have an issue with the cables, because then we're gonna have to reuse, we're gonna have to use the new cables, and the new cables are like weird lengths. So it's not gonna quite fit right. So, well, let's take this out. The old cables here. Okay. Plug this all back to the new 4-pin. SATA cable. The pin should be higher. Pin PCIe, CPU. Cable. Alright, and then we got the other pin. So is the 6-pin. Yep, that's right. Okay, we're going to thread these back through. 2 GPU cables. Thread them back through there. These 2 cables. So this is going to go back this way. Then got the SATA power cable here and the motherboard power cable here. Let's actually pull those out in front. Just like that. Then get this back in there. Make sure these kind of stay out. Tricky part is getting this thing back in there. Weird angle. Push all these cables down. Put these wires through as we go. Make sure these wires stay outside. Just take that out. Put the top one. Okay, let's see. So we gotta get the bottom this side in first. Push it downwards and up in. Okay, let's get the 4 screws back. Hold the power supply in place. Gonna loosely fit the screw first. Make sure everything lines up. That in, the last screw. Right, tighten them down. Plugged back in. First, they had this going underneath, so let's get it back underneath there. Okay, pull that up through. Also the CPU connector, thread that up through. Okay. There were 2 zip ties here, or actually maybe 3, so we'll put those back later. Let's see here, this one, and we'll reconnect the CPU connector here. Put that in. We'll get this wiring back following into these clips. Oh, I need to pull that back out. To go in front of the water cooling pipes, so this has to go under here. Okay, now we can get it back in. Put that in. Push these wires back under here. This wire's back under here. We can get the CPU cable back in. Though it is a little tricky because it's hard to see, but let's see, I might have to lift this up to be able to do it, so let's tilt this back up. Alright, get this thing. Connected. Careful, the little power switch is right there, so you don't want to accidentally knock that out. Okay, get that in. We'll click it into place. Looks good. Okay, let's rotate this so I can see better. I'm gonna get the USB 3 port in. Let's see, where was that SATA cable? The SATA cable's right there. Okay. Let's get the USB 3 connector back in. Okay, there we go, it's in. Alright, thread the CPU power up in like the other one. Okay, so now we got the CPU and CPU and motherboard power cables here. And oh, I think these are supposed to go in front. Let's pull this back out. This will go this way. And then we'll get the USB cable back in. Okay, just like that. Over here. Okay. Got the hard drive. We're gonna plug in the SATA cable down here. Okay. Make sure these are out of the way when you push the hard drive thing back in. Cabling. Tuck all the cabling back there. Okay. Here's the hard drive thing. Get that back in there. That has a little slot that this goes into. Okay, let's see how it goes back in there. And we do need to make sure the SATA power cable goes in, as well as the data cable. It's hanging back there. It's a little difficult to reach. Grab that. Okay. We gotta get that in. Line that up. Click that in. There's a little clip on this too, so when you take it out, make sure you pull that clip down. There's the SATA hard drive connector. Push that in. Then we'll wiggle all of this back in there. Make sure these cables aren't hitting other things, because all the cables are in the way of each other. It's so cramped in this thing. Okay, there we go. Get the two screws that were holding that in place. Stuff's in the way. Oh, I didn't slide that one in the little notch. I need to lift it back up. It's a little bit too low. So we gotta pull this guy back out. Make sure that goes in the notch. There we go. Careful when pushing this back in. The data cable wants to get caught on everything. Okay, that screw. Second one. There we go. Alright, tighten that all down. Tighten this down. This side's pretty much done, but we're gonna put some zip ties in there. Let's see if we can get the zip ties back in. There's two. You can see the notch here for the zip ties. That's where it goes, but you gotta go for the inside. You can see the zip tie come through, push it through, rotate it back out. Okay. And there we go. Here's the zip tie. And then we just gotta get that through and pull it. Alright, just like that. Be sure to snip off the excess. And the second one down here. Same thing. Zip tie. Okay, pull it through to the other side. Zip tie this side down. Just like that. Okay. Put that one off. Right. So this side is pretty much done. This kind of tubing, you need to kind of lift it up slightly and then push it inwards. Hook the bottom down here, and then you swing this up, it clicks into place. So go ahead and put those two screws in first. That side panel on, and go over to the GPU side. And now we have the GPU wires here that we need to thread back up there. Okay, we're gonna move this out of the way. Alright, we've got this cable back in. This side in first. It helps to kind of push this towards the back. And you gotta kind of pull that in. Bring it all up. And there we go. Click that in. Perfect. The other one, same thing. Pull this up. Pull it back. Yeah, that works easier. Actually put the 3-pin one in first because that won't room here for the 4-pin or 8-pin. Put that back out. first. Go. Perfect. Get this one up. There we go. Alright, now we just gotta get the wiring all flush here for this one. Actually turn it on its back. This one's gonna be difficult to show. Basically just shove all this wiring in there and this as well. We're gonna use the zip ties again. This one's more difficult to do. Okay, those wires in there. And zip tie it. Snip the excess. Those other small wires there that you want to also bring in there. Zip tie together. Wrap that up. Zip tie that. Push the whole bundle of wires back in. And zip it. Okay, let's get this guy back on. Just like the other one, hook the bottom. And this one rotates. This one you don't have to lift first because these tubes kind of go up. There we go. Get the two screws back in. Should be pretty much it. Oh, don't forget the little fan connector. It kind of fell down there, so I gotta take that back out. So I'm gonna open this again. Okay, this fan connector, make sure it ends up here. Go. Oh, we do have to do the front panel, so we can plug that other cable as well. Get this back out for the third time. Front panel has this little cable. Need to make sure it goes through this hole. And we got to plug it into the other side. So there's that little cable here. Okay, so make sure you have access to that. Line this all up. This lines up, so we actually have to take that back out. Pull that back out. Why is it stuck now? Can't lift that because this goes out. Alright, so line this all back up. Pull that cable through. Tricky part is getting all of this lined up back in. Where those little pegs. Circle pegs need to line up. There we go. And make sure that's out of the way. Push that in. Good. Don't forget to reconnect that little cable. There we go. Right, I'll get this back on. Screw that in. Go. Got the last one here. Make sure power button's good. Get this lined up. Click that in. Screws here. Okay. Then we got the fan connector here. Reconnect that. That. Good. And then get the front where the power button is in first. Then slide that back down. And there we go. Got it reassembled. Let's make sure it powers on. Back. Make sure you flip the switch to the on position on the bottom here, on the back. And power. I hear sounds, I see lights. I think we're good. So.
You just have to hold it.
Oh yeah, I want to shut it down because if you hold it and it's run like in the middle of booting the OS, it can sometimes crash the drive. So. There we go. Okay, that's it.